Welcome, everyone. I have a very delicate setup right now, so I apologize if it looks a little weird or I like bang on the setup and it causes the screen to go shaky. So I wasn't able to stay at the studio today for today's live, but that's okay. So I'm live streaming from home. I'm at my desk right now, and I thought we'd go over some anatomy. What we're gonna do is we're gonna look up some anatomical references. So this is gonna be a side view of the arm. As you can see, this is the rib cage in here. And what we're gonna do with this live is we're gonna describe each muscle as we go down the arm. We're gonna draw the muscle onto the arm. And as we progress, we'll describe that muscle, how it's placed on the bone, where it's placed on the bone. And by the end of it, we're going to have a much deeper understanding of the arm and the anatomy of the arm. And we're going to take our time with this. We're going to go slow. We're going to go methodical. And we're going to use a pencil to outline the muscles and where they're at. We're going to use a red pencil to color them in. That's going to be our like step after describing all of the muscles first. And yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So this is our rib cage in here, and I'm just going to be a little bit more descriptive by outlining the ribs in here. So our shoulder is going to attach right about here on the humerus. And that shoulder, otherwise known as the deltoid, attaches here with the acromion process and will attach to the collarbone or the clavicle and will wrap itself down here. It'll attach on the other side at the spine of the scapula. That's what this little portion is here. So it'll attach there and come down. So our deltoid is going to look like that in here. So this big triangle mass. Yep, right in there. And our pectoralis is going to attach itself into the same spot. So our pectoralis comes out to here. And if I'm not mistaken, it attaches to the fifth rib. So right in here, it's like near the bottom of that sternum in here. So our pectoralis comes in here and attaches itself to the sternum on that side. Right? So this is our deltoid, and the deltoid has 3 heads. I'm just going to describe that. So this is the anterior head. This is the medial head. And this is the posterior head. So that's going to be your 3 heads of the deltoid. Okay. And now, so this is the side. So we're going to get a good view of the tricep and the bicep. But first, we're going to get the bicep in there. The bicep will attach itself to the top here of that humerus, where the shoulder is. So the bicep comes out from there. And there's like these tightened, stiffened parts of the muscle that those are like your ligaments. And then it comes out. This is going to be your biceps brachii. So the long head will sit on top. And your bicep has these tendons that'll attach itself to the radius of your forearm. So this is the main part of the muscle in here. You have that short head in here, and they will attach themselves to the radius, which is this bone here. If I'm not mistaken, if I'm reading this right, the insertion point of the biceps brachii is right on this little bulge. So, all right, this is your long head, this is your short head, and they're gonna attach there, right to this little point of the radius. So this is the insertion point of the biceps brachii, and the biceps brachii include the long and the short head. So we're gonna like group that together. It's probably a little longer than what I have it here, because I have a bit of a long arm bone. So we're gonna make that a bit longer. So that is our biceps brachii. We're gonna clear the inside, make it a little bit clearer. Short head. So our triceps, and true to their name, the triceps have 3 heads. So you have the medial head, you have the lateral head, and the long head. So the long head is going to sit closest to the torso. So you won't see it from this side. But what you will see from this side is that lateral head, which is right here, and the medial head, which comes underneath. So the lateral head will come out and under, and then the medial head will come down this way. And right out here, you have the tendon of the triceps. If I'm not mistaken, they attach to the other side of that shoulder. So we have the deltoid, we have the biceps brachii, we have the tricep, and this one here is the lateral head. And this is the medial head. And the long head is on the other side of the lateral. The lateral head comes down this way. Yeah. So the insertion point of those triceps are at this top of the scapula, which sits behind here. And the back of that humerus right in here. So that lateral head attaches here, and the long head in the back attaches to the scapula up in here somewhere. All right. And the medial head like sits behind that and comes out this way. So we have our deltoid. This is our deltoid in here. We have our biceps brachii. We have our triceps. We have the tendon of the triceps in here, which will attach itself to the ulna. That's where your elbow sits, right in here. Top of the ulna. That's the tendon. So you'll feel that tendon right underneath your triceps. It's like this hard mass in the back of your arm. Okay. So up next we have our extensor carpi radialis longus. I know that is quite the mouthful, but we're just going to call it your extensor radialis, and your brachioradialis as well. So your extensor carpi and your brachioradialis muscles. And they're kind of grouped together. They're both going to attach right here where that medial head is, so the back of the medial head. And they're going to wrap over the tendon of the bicep insertion. So they're going to wrap this way and wrap around to the front of that wrist. So that's where they're going to sit. This part of the attachment is all like aponeurosis, which is just a bunch of muscle fibers hardened together, like stitched together to create that hardened mass or to create a tendon. Right. So like they have this mass in here, and that creates this nice little bulge. So far, we have our deltoid, we have our biceps brachii, which include this little sliver right here. We have our tricep over here. This here is the lateral head, and this little sliver right in there is our medial head, and right outside of that is our tendon of the triceps. And this shape in here is our brachioradialis as well as our extensor carpi radialis longus. And the brachioradialis will sit up top here, and the bottom, this part here, which is the extensor carpi radialis longus, that'll like kind of disappear behind the brachioradialis. So, yep. So that'll come out this way, and then that'll disappear. So brachioradialis sits on top, extensor carpi sits on the bottom, and you have a bunch of muscles in the back here. Despite that ulna being pretty prevalent, you have muscles in between, of course. Now, this next muscle is known as the extensor digitorum. This muscle controls this side of your fingers. It attaches itself to the bottom of the humerus, which is somewhere in here, and will cover about this area of the back of your forearm. And it doesn't go all the way to the fingers. It will stop. And there are these like tendinous like vines or ropes that'll connect to your knuckles and to your fingers. There's like this group of muscles that just like help. Yeah, they're like all in here. And there's this little muscle in between known as your extensor carpi radialis brevis. So this is your longest in here, extensor carpi, the brevis is shorter and lands here. So this kind of protrudes a little bit and then comes out. And on the other side, you can't see it fully, but that's going to be your flexor carpi ulnaris. This comes out just a little bit. You won't be able to see it much from this side. Of course, your ulna sits here. All these muscles sit on top. And then you have all these like little ropes that represent the tendons connecting to your fingers. So all in all, the muscles of the forearm and the upper arm, pretty cool in my opinion. I think they're like, the arm is such a unique grouping in my opinion. These muscles in here are so versatile. They're so strong. They're so versatile. They're underappreciated. They're underappreciated. is imagine you tried to live, which you can live without your arm, but try to imagine that. Try to imagine how difficult it would be to live without your arm or without your leg, without your hand. You know, these muscles are taken for granted a lot, and they're quite beautiful in their design and their purpose. So this is the side view. All right. And we don't have to go any further than this. We can just like go with this for now. And maybe next week I'll go over a front view. I'll draw the skeleton out again and we'll go over that. So as we know, these muscles have fibers, right? And these fibers are like, if you ever seen a bridge, right? You see those big metal ropes that hold the bridge together, right? So if this is my bridge, I have these big pipings, like all these ropes hold the bridge together. That's sort of what these muscles do. They're tense, they're contracted, they're in like tubular almost, and they go all the way up into these attachments, and they provide support and strength for the muscles to contract or to flex. And it's quite beautiful when you take a moment to realize what your body is actually capable of doing. I love describing this whole mess that we call our body. So this is that like tendinous area where that connects the biceps to their insertions. This is really like where the muscle sits. And then you have the tendons in here that connect them. You have the triceps in here, right? And then the medial head that's here. And then we can just color this in with our pencil because that's going to be our tendon of the triceps. I'm gonna show the medial head a little bit clearer in here. That's our medial head. Our biceps brachii, the long head, the short head. Our posterior head of the deltoid, medial head of the deltoid, anterior head of the deltoid. And all that really means is like the back, the middle, and the front. That's all that means. Posterior is back, anterior is front, medial is middle. So those fibers come down this way and they wrap around. And the direction that the muscles are laid in are very descriptive of the form that it creates. So like in here, the deltoid will wrap around and come around in here, and the muscles will follow that pattern. And as you get to the center, it kind of looks straight because it's just going. Imagine it like coming at you, and then wrapping down. And that's what's happening here. And then to the side, it'll come down a little bit further out as you go to the back, and then it'll come back and insert itself in here. So this creates a form. Like if I were to draw this simply, this creates a form. And the description of that form is it is circular, almost like a deformed ball. So this is what the muscle looks like. If I'm just like taking it and isolating it, that's what that muscle looks like in here. If I take the bicep and isolate the bicep, I'm just looking at this shape that's sort of like a balloon with these little attachments to the balloons. And the shape of the bicep comes out and loops down. That's how these muscles can describe the form that you're witnessing. The tricep comes down and it inserts itself. Right? And then the medial head comes down. And the medial head is a little interesting because it kind of has this like aponeurosis in here. And you don't see much of it. So that kind of like it kind of just hides itself, and then the brachioradialis and the extensor carpi, they come out, they insert themselves in here, and the muscles are in here. They wrap themselves around the forearm. Here, let's describe this bicep a little bit further. Right. Excuse me. Then our extensor digitorum that comes out here. And what I like to do to represent the tendons attaching is I'll draw this like little line, and I'll draw these almost like in here. See that? And this just describes all the fibers going into a point and collecting together to create those sturdy, strong tendons. So our extensor digitorum in here, you have the little groupings of muscles in the back there. We will go over the other sides of the arm. This is just a side view to get us started. And of course, like you have your wrist in here. There's muscles in there, tendons, and your bone. These are the bones of your fingers, and there's muscles in your hands even. So we'll go over that eventually. It's just right now we're working on this part of the body. We're working on this singular section, and we can let's even go through some of the pectoralis in here. The pectoralis, I don't know what it is about the chest, but I love the muscles of the chest. So they come in and attach themselves to the same spot as the deltoid. They'll like wrap in and sort of just attach themselves, and you have a top head, a middle, and a bottom, right? So top, middle, bottom. Those are the three major groupings of your pectoralis, but they sit on top. And they provide this protection for your chest. And that's, yep. So it'll come out this way. It attaches up to your collarbone up here. So all of that from the insertion point here to the attachment over here follows that line of thought. And then the insertion point out to the sternum, it'll follow that. It'll follow that. All those fibers, it comes down, it'll follow that direction. And then at the bottom, it'll follow from the insertion all the way to the attachment. So these fibers, if you pay attention to the fibers of the muscles, they will be very descriptive of the shape of your form, of how that form is attached to the body. I can look at this reference here and I can say, okay, so if I'm drawing an arm, I know that there's this like attachment in here. And I know that because this muscle wraps over, I can draw this a little bit protruding. Oh, this muscle down here kind of protrudes this way, so I can do this. Oh, the ulna sticks out, so I can draw the elbow here. And then the bicep kind of protrudes this way and then goes in. So I know that the bicep has this shape in here. Oh, the tricep inserts down here. So I can reasonably draw my tricep like this. And I know that the shoulder inserts itself in the middle and it kind of protrudes out. So this is just a rough sketch of the side view of an arm, right? But it's already more descriptive because of the intelligence of this diagram here. And that's a really long arm. This is a really long bicep, by the way. But that's okay. So you can use anatomy to inform your later drawings. I can just know that the insertion point creates this little like shadow shape underneath because it goes out and then under. So I can create this like little shadow. The anatomy is going to give you a really good understanding of the form. It's like looking for the reasons why it looks the way it looks. So you're finding the reason it looks like it's in shadow or it looks like it's turning. It's because of the underlying information underneath the skin. I'm just gonna go ahead. I'm gonna draw, or I'm gonna color this in a little bit. I like doing this, like just being at my desk and showing you guys like the anatomical references, and I'm looking these up with you. Like I want to learn. I want to have a much deeper understanding than what I currently have. So I don't mind making a fool of myself and getting information wrong on here so that I can learn with you. I would much rather learn with you than not at all. We can give ourselves grace a little bit, you know. And this is the shoulder in here, and the shoulder is such a beautiful muscle. Look at that form. I love that. The tricep comes in, and you have the medial head down here. This is the lateral head of the tricep, and get that brachioradialis and extensor carpi radialis longus in here, and then the brevis in here, extensor digitorum right in here. Now we're being a bit more descriptive while placing fewer lines. I'm gonna darken this one here, because this is still a part of the arm anatomy, but this is just a tendon, so it's all like hardened mass from the muscles. So like this is that bicep in here. The bicep. Oh, excuse me. Bicep. This is the long head of the bicep, and this is the short head of the bicep. And behind that, you have the tricep, the lateral head of the tricep. And you have your deltoid in here, which again, the posterior head, the back head, attaches to the spine of the scapula. The medial head attaches to the acromion, and the front head will attach to the clavicle. So all in all, it kind of just like wraps around. That's your shoulder. It kind of wraps, and then it comes down. And we're just gonna fill that in. And as you get closer to your insertion point, the color gets deeper because all of those fibers are massing in, so it will be more and more opaque. And you want to make sure that these lines follow that form so you can accurately describe what's happening. And then you have your medial head in here, which kind of comes up and then like wraps around, wraps underneath. You can sort of like group some muscles together because there's so much happening under here. Even under these muscles, there's so much happening, and you'll learn the more deeper you get into anatomy, the more and more intricate it is. The musculature of the human body is so extensive and so purposeful. It's like you're acquainting yourself with a designer. It's like you're speaking to God almost. And you're understanding the purpose of the human design. Like everything starts to click. Everything starts to make a little bit more sense about even your own body. That's what I love about anatomy. Anatomy really puts you inside of your own body, and it informs you of how to use your body, of like what your body is meant for. We'll go ahead and color this in as well. I love anatomy. I don't know if that I've made that clear enough, but I love anatomy. I love that I can learn about it. And the more I learn, the more I want to learn. And I don't think there is any real limit to anatomy. Get the separation of those heads, those parts of the pectoralis. Yep. Right. And that's our lesson for today. I hope that at the end of this, you have a deeper understanding, a more comprehensive understanding of anatomy. I hope that you are a bit more confident in your understanding of anatomy, at least the arm and the chest, right? The whole purpose of this is to give you a clearer view, to show you how you can apply that to your own drawings and enhance them rather than make them overly descriptive or loosey-goosey. Understanding the anatomy will only strengthen your drawings. And you can even make it up as you go. You can create some wild beast or some torn up human being. And with your knowledge of the anatomy, it'll give you a good idea of how to be descriptive of that character and have defining traits of that character. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I really had a good time looking this up and talking with you. And even if you didn't stay very long, I appreciate you stopping by. I love anatomy. I love learning with you. So if you stuck around, thank you. I appreciate you. I love you. Have a great day.